The two leaders faced off against each other in the final head-to-head of the election. In my opinion, it was absolutely awful. It appeared to be completely set up with a Tory bias. The head-to-head lasted for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to watch the entire thing. But I think Sunak's answer to literally every question was tax rises.
He's not being honest with everyone about his plans to raise their taxes, about his plans, if he wins power, to raise people's taxes. Keir Starmer's tax rises, which he is not being straight with everyone about his plans to raise your taxes, to rule out raising all your taxes. So do not surrender to their tax rises.
The host allowed him to constantly interrupt Starmer and spout lies over and over again.
Partnership with the government, we can make the change that we need.
Hang on.
No, let me just finish this.
I'm sure we're going to come back to the same thing later on.
This is your own shadow chancellor.
If you don't mind, I'm going to get to the next question.
Just be straight with people.
There are people waiting.
How many hundreds is it? Is it 200?
I'm going to turn to the next question now.
Is it 400?
I think the Prime Minister must have put a bet on how many times he's going to interrupt me. I think you should show some respect to the audience who want to know what I've got to say about this without constantly being interrupted. It really isn't the way to do the debate.
What's the answer to the question about whether you'll match what they're going to do on pension?
Not only that, it was almost as if he knew what the questions were. I mean, the questions were awful as well, but I'll come to those in just a second. But if you look at him, he's clearly reading from a script or pre-prepared answer.
First didn't think it would happen, and in fact they were delivered, and I'm sure BBC Verify will put that quote on their website. But look, 2 years ago, I warned repeatedly about what Liz Truss's economic policies would do to our country, even if it wasn't what people wanted to hear at the time. I was right then.
All the other interviews and head-to-heads that he's done, what's easy to spot is when he doesn't know the answer, he starts getting tetchy. He's picked fights with the audience before, and yet this time, for the entire hour, it's almost as if he had the upper hand because he knew what was coming. He knew how to respond. The host showed her political bias by allowing Sunak to lie about councils or invented Labour policies, and then we come to the questions themselves. I really don't think these were real questions from real voters. And you know why? It's because they're reading them from cards. If you're a member of the public and you've got a question, you don't need a bit of card in front of you to remember what the question is. You just ask it and listen to the language of some of these questions. I mean, one of them is, are you the best two people that we've got? I mean, come on, what kind of question is that? These are the two leaders of the party. What are they going to say? Oh, no, well, I'm going to get you through the election and then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to retire. I mean, what a stupid question.
People are dismayed by the lack of integrity and honesty in politics today. After the recent allegations about political betting, how would you restore trust in politics?
I've worked 2 jobs since I was 18, and I'm now 60. And I think too many people don't understand how important and better it is for you to be working hard. I also think too many people are on out-of-work benefits. My question is, what are you going to do to help more people to come off benefits and back into work?
I think you made a fair job of being Chancellor, but you're a pretty mediocre Prime Minister. Sir Keir, I think that your strings are being pulled by very senior members of the Labour Party. Are you two really the best we've got to be the next Prime Minister of our great country?
But we also had loaded questions, such as this woman complaining about Labour-run Nottingham Council being bankrupt.
Good evening. I'm a children's nurse at a local hospital. I see families affected by libraries and children's centres closing. How will you help councils after Nottingham City Council has effectively gone bankrupt?
Again, the host just allowed Sunak to lie repeatedly about it was only Labour-run councils that went bankrupt. I mean, I'll give her a due. She did try to mention that there are Conservative ones as well, but he just drowned her out and she just quickly moved on, so nobody really heard it.
Right. Nottingham City Council, bankrupt under Labour. Birmingham City Council, the largest council in the country, in fact, the largest in Europe, not just bankrupt, but as a result, everyone in Birmingham is now paying a 20% higher council tax bill. And that is a snapshot of what will happen if Keir Starmer is in power and across the country. As Labour always do, They run out of everyone's money. They bankrupt the economy in 2010. They bankrupted Birmingham. They bankrupted Nottingham.
Councils like Woking and Thurrock
Exactly.
were Conservative when similar problems first emerged.
What do you say about that? Conservative councils in exactly the same problem. What do you say about that? And I have to
Everyone
say,
in Birmingham,
a Prime Minister gloating about the fact that councils are struggling and the impact that you know
higher
of.
council tax.
He's responsible.
You have to believe me, you can go and check as a result of their financial mismanagement.
I do think Starmer did well to keep his cool when he's constantly being berated by a petulant child that's making stuff up about their policies and they're allowed to get away with it. I think I would have probably got angry, to be honest. So the entire head-to-head was just Rishi Sunak lying to the public, lying about Labour, answering every question with tax rises, and then trying to scaremonger the general public by making Labour policies up and being allowed to get away with it all. Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
If you want higher taxes and higher welfare, that's what Keir Starmer will do. So higher taxes and higher welfare is what you will get with Keir Starmer. Should realise that under a future Labour government, for the first time in our country's history, the state pension will be subject to a retirement tax under Labour. That's what their plans are.
Please do not go back to Liz Truss Mark II with this Prime Minister, because the same damage will follow.
And Rishi Sunak doesn't have the answers already in front of him, and he's put more on the spot. He folds quicker than a broken deck chair. And you can see how bad he really is in the video that's on screen now. So go watch that next. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.